Welcome to the This Week in Golf podcast, wrapping up the 2023 PGA Tour season. And Viktor Hovland just won the Tour Championship. He won back-to-back weeks. He wins the BMW. He wins the Tour Championship. He gets an $18 million bonus. Brings him to $32 million on the year of winnings. He won 4 tournaments. That's right, 4. Everywhere else you'll hear it reported as 3, but he actually won 4. He won the Hero World Challenge. He won the Memorial Jack's Tournament. Hero World Challenge is actually Tiger's tournament. He won Jack's Tournament. He won the BMW, and then he won the Tour Championship last week with an impressive performance. And I would say, probably, if I'm saying it, it's my opinion. In my opinion, the player of the year. He is the player of the year. Now, you have Scottie Scheffler. Historic year. You have Jon Rahm with the 4 wins and the Masters. Also a historic year. But for me, Hovland, he wins in the beginning of the season. He wins in the middle of the season. And then he ends up winning the last 2 tournaments. And really some quite impressive stats for Hovland. In the majors as well. Okay, in the Players Championship, I know it's not a major, but he ties for 3rd. The Arnold Palmer, he's 10th. Okay, here are the majors. The Masters, 17th. The Masters, he tied for 7th. PGA Championship, he got 2nd place to Brooks. U.S. Open, he was 19th. That's his worst finish in a major. And then in the Open Championship, he was 13th. So basically a top 20 in all the majors, 2 top 10s, plus the 2 top 10s in the Arnold Palmer and the Players Championship. So what a season overall. He's not the money leader because what's 32 minus 18? That's how much he made in winnings, but he gets the $18 million bonus for winning the Tour Championship. So he ends up being the money leader overall with the bonus, but just off of pure numbers, he was 3rd behind Scheffler and Rahm. So Rahm obviously had a great year. Let's just go through kind of the season as a whole and what was out there. So really, to me, the key kind of over the season, 2 things that really happened were the people that won multiple tournaments, and then the feel-good old-timer story. Some guys that made some serious comebacks. So with that, let's look at the multi-winners. The multi-winners are Jon Rahm with 4 wins, Viktor Hovland with 4 wins, and those are the 2 leaders on the PGA Tour. Taylor Gooch has 3 wins total on LIV. He had 2 in a row as well. Keegan Bradley, 2 wins. Brooks Koepka wins the PGA Championship and a LIV event. He gets 2 wins. Homa gets 2 wins. Max Homa. Lucas Glover gets 2 wins. Rory McIlroy gets 2 wins. Scheffler gets 2 wins. Tony Finau gets 2 wins. And Wyndham Clark gets 2 wins. Those are our multi-winners. And then on the feel-good stories, feel-good old-timer stories, people making comeback. The first one of the year was Justin Rose. Won the AT&T Pebble Beach in February. And then Jason Day won. I forget the tournament he won. And then Rickie Fowler also won. Rickie Fowler, nobody moves the needle like Rickie. And he got back into his winning ways. And he played well at the U.S. Open as well. Kind of didn't have the carry through on Sunday, but he played 3 solid rounds. The other kind of, we mentioned him earlier on the multi-winners, but Keegan Bradley, obviously, he hasn't won in a long time, and then he ends up winning to Lucas Glover. I don't think Lucas Glover's won in 10 years, and he won 2 in a row as well. And I guess we could throw Rory in there. He's kind of a little on the older side, but he wins every year. So I wouldn't say it. Like Day, Rickie, Jason Day, Rickie Fowler, Justin Rose, and Lucas Glover have not won in years. And so they really came through this year, had great years, and really cemented themselves into the top 30. Oh, one more thing with Hovland winning last week. He gets a 5-year exemption into all the majors, and I believe into all the elevated events as well. So, could he be the next guy to go to LIV? They're between PGA and LIV right now because they're negotiating a merger, or what are we calling it? A new company, the PIF. They're not allowed to poach talent back and forth. So they're in a freeze on that. But Hovland may be the next to go. I mean, the guy moves the needle. He's always got a smile on his face. He looks like he ate a gummy all day long. Very relaxed. Really, really great personality as well. So that is kind of wrapping up the season as a whole. And now the season, we're now officially, I guess, into next year's season. And there are some what was I calling them? Not sub-events, but, well, they're not elevated events. They're not even, they're lower than just a regular tour event. But basically what they're doing with these, I think there's 8 events now between now and the beginning of next year's, the start of next year's season. And these are allowing some of these guys that are within the, probably like the top 100 to gain points so that they can get into the top 70 or 60, I forget what it is, so that they can be in the elevated events next year. So an opportunity for those guys to move up and, get some invites into the big tournaments next year. Obviously, the elevated events are a $20 million purse, which means $3 million to the winner. So it's something quite remarkable to strive for. Okay, let's talk about the next big event then is the Ryder Cup. And then the news out today, Tuesday, August 29th, is the Ryder Cup team selection just happened. And you do have to feel for a guy like Zach Johnson, the captain, to make the picks. In addition to just the people that got picked or not picked, we're obviously talking about he's got to put the calls in, not the happy calls, obviously, but the bad calls as well. And I'm sure some people were pretty ticked about this one this year. And one of the things, though, that you do have to consider with these picks is we are forming a team, so we do need some leadership. And I think, with that said, who are the leaders, right? And so you have your 6 people that automatically qualify. And those are Scotty Scheffler, Wyndham Clark, who's never played, Brian Harman, who's never played, Patrick Cantlay, Max Homa, and then Homa's never played either, and then Xander. So out of those first 6 auto qualifiers, 3 of them have never played before. So I guess we got to factor that in. There's a lot of prognostication out there that you need leadership and you need this and you need that. But to me, it's like, take the 12 best. If it's new people, or even better, take a bunch of people that are like really young and then let them play through the system for a few years. Who cares if they lose? We lose to Europe anyways every time we're in Europe. So you might as well get a young bunch in there. But that is not what happened. And let's just put it out there. There's a club within the PGA Tour. And some people just ain't in it. And the club is Spieth. And the club is Justin Thomas. And Rickie Fowler. And several others. And Zach Johnson. And if you're not in the club, you ain't getting picked. And case in point, Keegan Bradley didn't get picked. Why didn't Keegan Bradley get picked? He won 2 tournaments this year. 2 tournaments towards the end of the year. He's been having a good year all season, and he's gotten hot at the end, but he doesn't get picked. He had some words on Twitter today about basically, I'm not part of the club. I try to be nice to people. I try to get along with people, but I ain't in the club. So that's what it comes down to. And if you listen to the podcast in the last few weeks, you've heard me say it. Justin Thomas should have went to Zach Johnson and said, I don't deserve to be on this team. Because he doesn't. And he should have made it easy on Zach to not pick him. Now, you'll say, well, we need the leadership, and he's got a good record. But he's had a horrible year. Are we rewarding bad behavior or bad play in this case? So here's your final 6 captain's picks. The captain. Jordan Spieth. No argument from me there. Brooks Koepka. Also no argument. In fact, a great pick. And when I was saying earlier that this team needs leadership, Brooks is going to give it to you. It's going to be salty. He may not talk to you for a few days if you don't play good. But, that gets performance. The San Francisco Giants, when they had their good championship run the last, about 6 or 7 years ago, had a player that everybody thought was a little skittish, little nuts, and everybody was a little afraid of, and that was Hunter Pence. He just had this look like, you didn't want to disappoint him. He might scream at you. He might destroy the clubhouse, and that's kind of what Brooks is. You gotta play up to his standard, and he's a salty guy. So we got Spieth, Brooks Koepka, Colin Morikawa, Sam Burns, also a rookie. Sam has had a good year. He won one tournament, and he's buddies with Scheffler. Once again, got to be friends with the right people. Rickie Fowler, everybody loves Rickie. And then, of course, Justin Thomas. So, talking smack now, if they all play good, then I guess I'll have to eat some crow. But for me, just putting a guy on there because what he's done in the past, and he's had a horrible, what have you done for me lately? Seriously, I have no loyalty to any of these folks. I don't know any of them. I just see what I see. And we will see what happens with all of that. That's in Rome, very end of September, first week in October is where the tournament will be played. I don't even know about the European team, but I know Rahm is on it, Hovland's on it, Rory's on it. So it's they got 3 good ones at the top, that's for sure. And it's going to come down to a great tournament.
Hey, it's Jeremy Callahan, and thanks for listening to This Week in Golf. Make sure and hit subscribe so you can get all the latest news and analysis from Golf BPM.
That, my friends, is This Week in Golf. That's the 2023 season. We'll be checking in and doing the podcast more. There's plenty of news that happens in the off season, and look forward to bringing it all to you. That's a wrap.